I found an audiobook version of it on YouTube, and found the section that I'd stopped at and start playing that. And I was really listening. I was paying attention to stuff, but then after he fell asleep, I always get more out of it if I'm reading it actively.
Right.
And so I picked up where I left off, and I realized how much had passed in the and it was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, there's like 10 pages left.
We're almost done.
Yeah, it really rushes through there at the end. I can't help but feel like I may have missed something, but at the same time, with this one, I don't know how much that matters.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just watching, before you came on, I was watching a video on this guy's channel, Nurbit. He does a lot of Fallout stuff. And,
oh, cool.
He made a video a few weeks ago. Can you beat Fallout 4 as Lucy McLean? Who's the main character from the TV show.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like installed a bunch of mods to like make there's like a pre-made face mod and
they released an official build for all three of the main characters.
They
too.
did, and what's funny is the guy on the channel was like, at first when I was putting the special stats in, it seemed I was like, well, Lucy should have higher charisma, right? Mm-hmm. Because the official Bethesda build for Lucy is her charisma is 5. And everybody's like, that doesn't make sense. She seems like a character who,
low,
and then he goes, then he realized, he was like, no. Then I realized 5 was accurate because as I thought through the show, she was a character who was always trying speech checks and failing.
You know what? Okay. Yes, actually. That's a good point. That's a good point. She rarely does do well with those, does she? That's funny. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good point. I mean, the fact that she's a giant bug-eyed girl, where I was watching that show and there would be like one scene and I'd be like, God, she really is beautiful. And the next scene I'd be like, I find her very off-putting. It really just changed from moment to moment. It's like that
moment to moment, but then she looked more like a bug and you're like, I feel weird.
Yeah. What's going on? What's happening?
Yeah, apparently what the other show she was from was big show was Yellow Jackets, I think.
Yes, yeah, which I kept meaning to watch but I never did.
Yeah, it's always on the list and never on the TV.
Yeah, that's kind of its fate, isn't it?
I mean, I might watch Fallout again before I watch Yellow Jackets. That's I'm being totally honest.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh man.
I mean, I was like, after watching it, and it was like, yeah, no, I shouldn't be surprised, because Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, they're pretty good at what they do. Like, here's the thing. Even the later seasons of Westworld, which were pretty incomprehensible plot-wise, were still extremely interesting, if that makes sense. Like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This is real. Like, I'm lost, but it's weird and interesting in a certain way that I can appreciate. There's this, like, in the opening of the last season, there's like this fucking moment where what's his name, Ed Harris's character, just like walks up to a guy and says something, and it gives the guy like a mind poison. And it's like this guy that he's been negotiating with, and then the guy goes back into their headquarters, which is in like a dam, like a hydroelectric plant, and he goes back and he kills everybody in there, like all the bosses, or it was just this weird ass scene, and it's like Ed Harris's Man in Black characters just like doesn't even say a whole lot. It's like, it gets really weird, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not surprised that Jonathan Nolan was able to pull it off.
Yeah. I never watched Westworld. That was one that I was And that's the thing. They're all. It's again one of those shows that's on the list, and I keep never coming back to it.
At
In
least
fact,
watch. Yeah.
Well, you are partially responsible for this. I'm gonna lay the blame at your feet because you sent me that fucking video about Breaking Bad and the scene for scene remake thing, and I was like, oh, that was a great video, by the way. That was a really cool video. I loved it. I thought it was great. But now I want to watch Breaking Bad again.
Yeah,
Kevin, I don't have time for that. You did this.
Just chill out with Graham. He's not really taking things in yet. Just
we've been watching. We got like this special edition Blu-ray collection of the first 4 Alien movies, and we've been watching those. Watching like these special edition versions of like 3 and like a 3-hour version of Alien 3 and this like inexplicable like 2-hour version of Alien Resurrection. And it's been so good.
It's been.
But we've been watching it with Graham, and I'm like, we need to do this now because it won't be too long before we really will have to be careful about what we're watching around him and when
he becomes too aware of what's on the screen.
Exactly. He doesn't give a shit right now, but I mean,
God,
don't get me wrong. He's going to grow up with a quiet sadness inside, but other than that was always going to happen.
That Breaking Bad video was just fascinating.
I had no idea, first off, that was being made.
Right.
And I stand by what he said, where he was like, look, this is a miracle. The fact that they were able to do this on a shoestring budget in what did he say, 60 days?
They recreated 68 episodes in 6 months.
That's insane.
They remade every episode.
That's absolutely bananas, and it's really impressive. And but at the same time, when that is very much, his points were very valid in the sense where it's like you can do this super impressive thing and still miss a lot of the marks. In fact, there's a reason that that a show like that took so long to create and come about and that sort of thing.
I mean, Breaking Bad had, if I recall, it took like, how many seasons is Breaking Bad? 6, I want to say?
6. I want to say 6.
I want to say it took 8 years to get 6 seasons out or something like that.
They did. I think the last 2 seasons they did that thing where they were splitting them up.
Yeah.
And that stretched it out over an extra couple of years. I think that's how it went down. Yeah.
And the first season was shortened by the writer's strike. And that's actually what saved Jesse Pinkman's life.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah. Because they didn't go into production on the episode, he had time. Vince Gilligan kind of had time to think about it and decided to keep Jesse Pinkman alive. Otherwise, Jesse was supposed to die at the end of season 1.
Oh wow, good move. Good move.
Yeah.
That's another interesting thing where the first season of Breaking Bad is so unlike the rest of the show, where the first season is like a dark comedy.
It's really, and you know what it is, and I appreciate that because it's meeting people where they were at with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. They're easing you in. That's true. That's a good point.
It's like it's the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, you know.
Right. By the time we get to I Am the One Who Knocks, we're good and warmed up by then.
We've been warmed up now for the end game.
That's totally fair.
By that point.
Yeah.
But you couldn't just go straight to full on Heisenberg. You needed to start with Walter White as he's a dad. He's the dad from Malcolm in the Middle to
in his tidy whities out in the middle of the desert.
Tidy whitey, yeah.
God, that show's good. The first season of that, yeah.
That show's good.
It's so good, so good.
I know a lot of people didn't like El Camino that much, but I liked it. I thought
I never watched. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch Better Call Saul.
And what's funny is like some people, there will be people who are like, yeah, Better Call Saul was even better.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
And what's his name? People were gutted that Bob Odenkirk never got any recognition for Better Call Saul.
That is surprising. I mean, you'd think they'd throw something his way, like
right.
He worked. I mean, that character. He fucking polished that character into a fucking diamond.
He worked
by the end of
himself
Breaking
into a
Bad.
Yeah, by the end of Breaking Bad, then he started over basically with Better Call Saul because he's
Yeah.
playing the character from before he's Saul.
Right, right.
he's
It's.
he's Jimmy,
I
Slippin'
didn't know
Jimmy.
that. I did not know that they hadn't been nominated or anything. That's another
Yeah,
surprise. That's
and
weird.
Bob Odenkirk, and then in the final season of taping, he is working himself so hard for that character, he gave himself a heart attack.
I didn't know that either. Jesus,
Yeah,
that is
he was
crazy.
he had a heart attack on set.
Yeah, he kind of leave it to fucking comedians to take things too far. That's pretty
Yeah.
standard, I find.
Bob Odenkirk, John Ritter, died on set. Well, he wasn't on set when he died, but he had his heart attack while he was on set doing his.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's just. I mean, some guys just don't know when to quit.
they don't.
They just don't. They just don't.
Bob Odenkirk is now doing a sequel to his action movie.
You're kidding.
Yeah,
That's
you ever
crazy.
see it?
No.
Nobody.
No.
It's
haven't
actually funny. It's like it's got that John Wick action stuff in it.
Yeah.
Because it's from the stunt coordinator of John Wick.
Sure.
Like there's John Wick, and then there's the John Wick action movie tree that is kind of generated. Nobody falls under that tree.
Okay.
And what's great is Bob Odenkirk's dad in the movie is played. I want to be sure. I believe his dad is played by Christopher Lloyd.
And
There's an entire
amazing.
section at the end where it's his dad, his dad, and his brother just fighting off like all these dudes in Christopher Lloyd and his brother is the RZA.
Oh wow. Okay.
And they're just in a warehouse fighting off all these guys.
That's so crazy. Yeah. No. I've seen. I think the extent of this is seeing the movie poster online at different places.
Sure.
That's the extent of it. It's so funny. The trajectory his career / life has taken. I love that kind of shit. You watch these, like, you think about, Hugh and Laurie, for example, and just the two very different trajectories their individual careers took. And it's the same thing for Mr. Show and a lot of these comedy troupes, the direction they all go. Key and Peele, it's...
Yeah, it's because Mr. Show, I mean, that was Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, right?
Right.
David
That was,
Cross.
that was a groundbreaking comedy.
It was a groundbreaking comedy, and David Cross stayed really strictly in comedy.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk split off into drama. And you're saying Key and Peele, Keegan-Michael Key is, I mean, Keegan-Michael Key has mostly just had a career of being the guy who does guest spots on sitcoms.
I get the
for
impression
4 or
that
5
he-
episodes.
I agree, and he does, but he also has these little projects like Schmigadoon and stuff like that.
Oh, right, Schmigadoon. I forgot.
Yeah, and he's a song and dance guy, which cracks me up. But the thing about that is I was talking about that with my wife not long ago. We were watching Nope for the 400th time, and I was kind of like, the thing is, I get the distinct impression that, like, because Key has gone on to be this, legendary horror guru, basically, and you can't help but get the impression from Peele that he's just like, I'm just happy to be here. This is fine. I don't. A lesser person could take that really hard.
It's Peele doing that.
Oh, mixing them up, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get the impression that he's totally fine with it. Like,
Keegan Michael Key is fine. He's working. Yeah. He's in a bunch of things every year.
Oh yeah.
He's not reaching doing the same things that Jordan Peele is doing.
Right.
That's fine. But
Yeah,
Jordan
maybe
Peele
if they were
is
both
doing
aiming
some
for the same shit.
Yeah, Jordan Peele is doing some wild, amazing stuff.
Amazing.
Somebody was saying in the SAS Discord that it's wild that Nope does not get as much. So they were saying, "Oh, Get Out was clearly Peele's best film," and I said, "I don't know. Nope is a lot more interesting to me than Get Out."
Nope is, I believe, his masterpiece.
Yeah.
I think it is it's one of my favorite horror films that's come out in the last 10 years. Don't get me wrong, Get Out's outstanding. It's a great film, and it was exactly the kind of movie he could kick down the door with and everything. But Nope is a better film than, and that doesn't say anything bad against.
I mean, Get Out's
other
amazing,
work.
but Nope
Yeah.
is astonishing. And
Nope
you know
is-
what?
yeah.
I think a lot of people. So I like all of his movies so far. I think Us is just Us has this like 1970s horror. It's fucking weird because it's weird.
I need to watch that one again because that one didn't
I-
impress me all that much. I need to watch that one again.
It is just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Nope is definitely. There's just so much in Nope that is amazing. Like the monster design.
The design, the
He actually took inspiration from Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I believe that. I 100% believe that. The way he films the sky and the night, the sky is a character. Like it's Jaws. The whole movie's Jaws.
Did I mention to you how they did the nighttime stuff?
Didn't they filmed it during the day, but
It was filmed day for
right?
night. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was filmed with two cameras simultaneously. There's like a regular camera and an infrared camera.
Right.
And then they would overlay the two, and that made it seem black and white.
That's cool.
Not black and white. Made it seem like nighttime.
Right.
With the merging of the two film stocks over
brilliant.
top of each other.
It's absolutely brilliant. And it's Jaws. That's the thing. I remember watching
It's
it with
very
my wife.
Jaws.
I was like, this is Jaws. Because the first half of it is, like, the first 2/3 of it is creeping dread. And it's magnificently done. Everything, the chimp scares the fuck out of me. The old TV history stuff is amazing. And then the last third of it is this rollicking kind of fun adventure moment, and it's just the shark in the sky.
Keke Palmer doing the Akira slide.
Yes. She was awesome. Everybody's awesome in that movie, but she in particular is really good.
She's great in it.
I fucking love that movie. I love that movie. I hadn't bought a Blu-ray in forever when we got that one. Like, it's like, I want to own this. We have to own this.
No, I get it. You know what else is Nope?
What's that?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Pixelit. My name is Kevin. With me, as always, is Phil. And on today's show, we are finishing Resident Evil Underworld by S.D. Perry. We are going to find out what happens to William Reston and the rest of the Star's crew.
William, rest in peace. Am I right? That's
William,
foreshadowing.
rest in peace.
Now,
Hey
that's
now.
foreshadowing.
Ha ha. Now, if you want to support us making jokes like that, go to patreon.com/pixelitpod, where you could join a number of tiers. Free, $1, $5, $10. $1 gets you in the door, lets you read Phil's blog posts where he writes about the book that he's reading. $5 gets you an ad-free episode. $10 gets your name shouted out at the beginning of the episode. And to that end, I want to shout out Friendly Friend, Jesus Loves You, Ruthless Mutter, and Kyle Seaman. Thank you all so much for being here. Pixelitpod.com or patreon.com/pixelitpod. That'll get you there. Phil, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
I want
Yeah.
to. We finished this book, and
We did.
we're talking about Nope. We're talking about fun stuff before the
That's
show.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's nice when we begin the show talking about things that we like, because that doesn't always happen.
It doesn't always happen. Doesn't always happen. You know?
Doesn't always happen. Well, Kevin, what do you say we put this body in the ding dang marsh?
Let's put the body in the marsh. Look at this.
Ooh.
I'm drinking a Spindrift.
Lovely.
Sparkling water and real squeezed fruit. It's
Is that a lemon?
Just a lemon.
It's a classic. It's classic. I'm having a little bit of a couple fingers of Uncle Nearest in my commemorative Phil
the
got
commemorative
married cocktail
groom
glass.
Phil got married glass. Look at that. He got married.
I got married and then less than a year later had a baby.
You got it. That's what we did. You did the same thing we did.
I forget that. That's right. You guys weren't wasting any fucking time either.
We got married. Our daughter was born only a couple weeks after our anniversary.
There you go. There you go.
That's the way to do it.
Our kid was born a couple of months after our anniversary, so more than a year then, not less than a year.
You tie the knot and then you untie some
Other
knots.
knots.
Hey,
You secure the bag, as the children say.
secure the bag, as the
Yes.
as the kids would say.
That's
Body
what-
in the marsh.
Body in the marsh. Okay. We are picking up at chapter 15. Our friends are leaving the desert area. As you guys recall, they are on the planet, quote unquote, the planet, trademark. And it's got 4 levels in it, if you will. And they've just passed through the second one, the desert filled with scorps, which are filled with goo, as I'm
Scorps,
sure
gooey
you recall.
scorps.
The scorps. They get real creative with these names, by the way. So they're making their way through.
These are real Joe Bag nicknames, you know.
They really are. They really are. Joe Bags. And they're making their way through, and this is the mountainous region, an alpine kind of region, and they have to determine. They know that what the nicknames of the other 2 are. They're hunters and spitters, and so they're trying to figure out, what do we got? What do we got coming for us? We get the standard. How much ammo have we got left thing, which basically, if we cut back to a new zone, if you will, you can assume that they have a moment where they're like, all right, I've got 1 clip left and 3 grenades or whatever. I don't think they ever have 3 grenades. They should be so lucky. But yeah, so we've got that. We cut back to Rebecca, David, and Claire. They are still working their way through what is it even called? Like they're I forget what it is. It's like a control room or something, isn't it?
Right. They're trying to get to Rebecca, David, and
communications
Claire are trying to get to a communications tower.
Yeah. So they're still trying to figure that out. Not much there. We're back to So meanwhile, we go back to the mountains, and what starts coming our way? But I can only describe this as zombie goats.
They are frog-headed goats.
Yeah, which that's some Hieronymus Bosch shit right there. Like
they are going to open their mouth and let us into hell.
That's right. It's straight out of the Garden of Earthly Delights. There is some really fucked up imagery right there for you, and they literally hawk poisonous loogies at them.
They spit acid.
Yeah. What's the latest meme? The hawk-toi or whatever. That's what they do. That's
You got to do that hawk tui.
yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's what they do. It's like and I couldn't stop thinking about because it's a terrifying image. You know, it's these horrible goat things. They're like climbing down these tall mountains with froggy reptilian heads, and they literally describe them going and just pulling it up like Ace Ventura 2, Call of the Wild.
I am looking up that. You got to give me that hawk tua spit on that thing.
Spit on that thing. That's it. I found out about that one from one of my redneck friends on Facebook who said she was going to do that to her husband, and I was like, I'm happy.
That is
for
why
ya.
you're still on Facebook.
Yeah. Your teenage kids who are also on Facebook probably don't want to read that. So skip, I suppose.
Hawk tua, yeah.
Hawk-Tua. they're basically making their way past these guys. John is going to distract them while Leon and Cole make their way to the exit, and John gets this kind of internal monologue thing going here, where he starts to feel really responsible for Cole's life. Because he helped us out.
Cole has
I
now
guess.
become a puppy.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It was the dog that you fed one too many times, and it's you've gotten attached to it, and now we have to let it inside the fucking house. So he's dealing with that. Cole's very appreciative, as you can tell, because he's not dead yet. And so John basically distracts the Huac goats while Leon and Cole make their way across a bridge, and John's making his way too. Oops, the bridge lets loose.
The bridge lets loose, like they spit on that thing.
They spat on that thing, Haktua, and it just fell. It just fell.
And it just fell.
That's it. So we cut to chapter 16. John is dealing with this. He gets a hawk, a red mucusy ball hits him, I think on his hand or something like that, and it's tingly horribleness. It's pretty gnarly. It is pretty.
It's
nasty
not
stuff.
great.
No,
It's bubbling. It's steaming. It's tuaing.
It's
You really
tuaing.
gotta.
It hawks and then it tuas.
It hawks
shake
and then it
and bake.
tuas. Yeah.
So-
It's the new shake and bake.
Yeah. So he's hand over handing it up the bridge. They pull him over, and they throw a grenade across, and it just take them all out. Grenades are the MVP of this book. Let's face facts.
It seemed a little too easy to kill all of them at once.
Yeah, I actually thought that we were going to have that this was going to be. It's kind of like what they did with the Scorps, where he blew up all the Scorps, and then they were like, "Oh, but I can hear some more coming. Let's book it." It's kind of like it's not even that much. I was expecting some sort of twist, but no, they blow him up. Which, you know what? Fine. We've got 60 pages left in this book. Let's not count our blessings here just yet. So we get this wonderful line. They ask how he is, and John says, I think I broke a nail, but I'll live. Just, well met, good sir.
Well met!
This duel of wits is over. We cut to Reston, who's watching this like the world's worst Game of Thrones season.
And he's a
7
little
party.
drunk at this point.
He is. I think the best thing that S.D. Perry does in this book is we actually watch chapter for chapter as he gets drunker and drunker. She never forgets that he's been drinking brandy, and he's always having another glass, and she always adds a little more, which is exactly how it works when you're slowly getting drunk over the course
He
of the
has
evening.
been getting drunk all night.
Yeah, and before you know it, you're just shit-faced, and you're like, how did this happen? And oops, I'm dead. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is slowly getting more and more, well, not even slowly at this point. He's very steadily getting hammered. He is at this point trying to make excuses. He's trying to come up with the excuses he's going to tell the group. Should he have to pull the plug, or even, because at this point, even if they get killed in the last room, these guys have still decimated millions of dollars of worth of biotechnology and bioweapons and shit like that. So he's pretty screwed with his bosses, no matter what. So he's trying to come up with some excuses and see what he can do. And then, as he's thinking about this, he gets a phone call. He picks up, but the line is dead, and he starts looking around. All the security cameras dead. So he is fully alone out there. We cut to a new character. Isn't that exciting? New character. Andrew Killer Berman, who is
Brand
a
new
guard.
character.
Brand new character working for Stars. They have sent him
Umbrella.
to go. Umbrella. Sorry, yeah. Umbrella. he is sent to guard the van that they found. And he's got to keep an eye on it. He's bitching about it, pissed off, really not thrilled about being there. And what do you know? A beautiful young lady comes around the corner. Says, "Oh, I don't feel so good."
And he says something like, "Oh, maybe I can help her out and get on
Right.
her good side." And then he
And if
says, "And she's stacked too."
Which, yeah, that one was like the writing is accurate, but a little too accurate. That's
Yeah,
absolutely.
but also
that guy.
isn't it Rebecca?
Yeah, yeah,
and
who
Rebecca
is distinctly
pretty
not stacked.
Rebecca is relatively petite, so
Right.
it's a weird comment.
It's a weird comment. He's just been out in Utah for a long time.
Long time.
He can't even get a piece of hand at that point, so he is hurting for a squirtin'. And so, what do you know? Just as he lets his guard down because he's an idiot, and he gets clobbered by Claire and David, who basically say, up against the wall, motherfucker, don't make me kill you. And that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah,
Basically,
they say that the
they're
other
gonna tie him
two
up.
guys that were left over fell for it as well. The exact exact same move. They
Which
did
is
the
not
exact
surprising.
same move 3 times to
Yeah.
these umbrella dudes, and it worked every time. So
Yeah.
if it works once, why not try it again?
Why not? I think it's a bunch of horny dudes out in the middle of the desert. I'm sure it worked. I mean, like, if you told me that was in real life, I'd say, yeah, sure, I believe that.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally buy that.
And then Claire stands up on a table and says, "If one of you motherfuckers moves, I'll execute every last motherfucking one of you."
That's it. That's you know what? Now in headcanon, that's how I imagine.
You know
what's
that diner
actress's
was
name?
knocked down?
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, there's a Pep Boys there now.
I assume that was in L.A.
Yeah, because we were watching. It was the Hawthorne Grill. We were watching The Nice Guys the other night. You ever see that?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Really hilarious movie. Shane Black, starring Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. If you go watch it, if you haven't, folks, really good. Did not make much at the box office, but it deserves a sequel. Anyway, set in the 1970s, there's a scene where they're in a diner, and I was like, it looks pretty similar to the one from Pulp Fiction. That sent me on a rabbit hole. I was like, oh, it was demolished, and there stands now a Pep Boys.
Good. I mean, I bet that neighborhood needed that Pep Boys.
Needed that Pep Boys. Needed a little pep in the step,
Pieces of cinema history aside, people need to get their oil changed.
They do need to get their oil changed.
just
Let
all
me
there
tell
is to
you, people just do not get their oil changed.
They don't. That's not
They
a thing. I don't think people do that.
Speaking of which, I think I'm 4 months overdue for an oil change.
I think I'm 4 years, so no. I do mind when I have a special occasion. Like when we moved here, I was like, well, I better get that that
Better
heavily
get that
overdue
oil changed.
Oh yeah.
Do you have state inspections in Virginia?
No. Well, actually, they do, but they are so lax as to be completely useless. And they also allow up to 3 years of a state inspection. Like when I first moved here, I noticed that the decal on people's cars, instead of saying that year or the following year, which is what I'm used to, would say like 2027 or 2026 or something. I'm like, what the fuck? And then when I started doing the research for my place, it's like, yeah, you can pay a little extra and have your car. Well, that's registration. Sorry, not inspection.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
After the inspection, you can have your car registered for like 3 years or something.
And you don't
So it's
need
like,
to get it re-inspected.
Not to my knowledge. You probably do, and I'm just unaware of it.
Because when I lived, in Pennsylvania, it was every year, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that when I was in Pennsylvania. Yeah,
And you had to have the sticker on the windshield with the inspection date.
Pennsylvania might have had the most stringent rules on that shit of any state I've lived.
Oh
in.
yeah, Pennsylvania is pretty stringent on the state inspection in terms for those of you who don't know, we're talking about the state inspection of your car to make sure that it is not over polluting. Basically, the car has to not And this is something that Volkswagen got in trouble for a few years ago, where the systems in the car were designed to fake results.
That's
Wasn't
right.
that it?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. It was like it just made it seem much better than it was, or
Yeah,
something like that.
it's emissions testing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if
I
you're
wish
in a
we had to do
state
it in
that
Atlanta.
there's states that care about that kind of stuff and states that don't, and
Get a
your mileage
Volkswagen.
may, yeah, get a Volkswagen. Your mileage may vary on that. I
Yeah,
remember a
literally.
guy I knew years ago was railing against them because his dad drove a car that was from the 1950s and couldn't pass inspection, and I was like, buddy, I don't know what to
Dude,
tell you. Don't drive a car that still takes leaded gas. Like,
that's
what are we
kind of
doing
an
here?
that's kind of an odd thing to complain about. Like that's the hill you're gonna die on. You're
He
like, these
also thought
motherfuckers are going too far.
he also thought teachers were overpaid.
Oh,
So
of course, yes. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that tells you everything you need to know right off the bat.
that's really all you need to know. Anyway,
Lord. Anyway, chapter 17. We are in the fourth and final round of the boss rush. That is Leon, John, and Cole's whole situation. Now, this is the city level, and the thing that is kind of distinct for this area, based on what they've seen before already, they point out, is that when they were in the desert, or when they were in the mountain, or the forest and all that stuff, it's fake. It's all fake, but it's so clearly fake. It's meant to be fake, and so
right.
you kind of roll with it a little easier. But in the city, it's made out of the same materials. It looks like a city. No, none of the buildings are taller than 3 stories, I think is what they say. And clearly, there's no one there. It's like a ghost town, but it does kind of look like they've stepped into a city at night. And so it's just kind of a weird vibe that they're picking
Right.
up. So they've got the hunters to contend with. They know that much. They don't know what that means. But Cole points out to them that the exit to this area is bolted shut. So there's no like just easy exit for them to run towards. So they're trying to figure out whether or not they're going to be able to make it out in the traditional way this way. We get a cute moment where John basically offers Cole a job if they get out of this. He's like, "Hey, you want to join up with a ragtag group of, you know, ex-cops and federal agents and travel the world and fight zombies?" And Cole's like, "If I survive, yeah, we'll talk," which I
Right.
thought was a nice moment.
Like, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah. This seems fine. Yeah, I think be like, look, I don't think I'm going to work for Umbrella anymore. But I was thinking maybe I'd get a job at a Pep Boys, maybe the one that's in L.A. they were talking about. So the place is filled with these open buildings. It's like it's kind of like a shitty video game that was just put together with paid for assets, where it's like you can go into the first floor of the building, but there's not really anything there. You know, it's just like countertops and shit. So it's not even a ghost town. It's the ghost town that never was, essentially. So they're making their way through it, and then they start to hear something, and with in a move that I can only describe as predator-like, the chameleon-like hunter comes tearing out of the wall that it was blended into with some claws and screaming at him. So we've got our first bit of hunter action. Cuts back to Reston, who was watching this, and he's very confident. He goes, "All right, this is the. I see now that the Dax and the Scorps and the Spitters were silly and stupid, and I see now that they never would have, had a snowball's chance in hell
Right.
of bringing these guys down. But the hunters,
The
this is done.
hunters.
Yeah, and they can't even hide really, because everything's based on smell with these guys. So this is probably going to be the way that it's going to work. So he's watching them fight everybody. He has a moment where he actually literally leaves to go freshen up his drink, because that's where he is at this point.
He's like, I think I might go with a twist.
Yeah, exactly. He's just drinking brandy like it's his job. And
By the way, the hunters are the hunters from Resident Evil 1.
yes, it is. You're right. This is the first time we get an actual recognizable baddie, essentially.
But Leon would not have encountered
he
them.
wouldn't know about it. He wouldn't. Nor John. So they wouldn't.
Right.
They wouldn't have known about them. So it's new to them. It's new to them.
Yeah.
And we get another scene where we are watching the fight scene through Reston's eyes, through the security cameras, which I said this last episode, but I think that's a fun way of going about this. It's pushing the plot forward in a unique way, and I really like that. So he's watching the fight happen, and it's not going great. It's not going bad, though, because he actually sees, them getting tossed around by these monsters a little bit. So he feels confident that this is going to be the end of it.
Right.
Let's see. Where am I? Oh, okay. So we cut back to David, Claire, and Rebecca. They are in the their plan is they're going into the communications building, basically. They're making their way in. Rebecca is not feeling great, but we get your standard moment at this point where the wounded person says, "Yes, I'm walking wounded. Yes, I might be a liability. Yes, I might not survive this, but I'll be damned if you're gonna leave me behind,
right?
While you risk your necks." And David looks her in the eye and says, "You're a damn good soldier, Rebecca."
Soldier on, Rebecca.
Yeah, he's proud of her. God damn it! And I think people will say they're in love. It's adorable.
They're in love, and then the throuple squeezes together onto this elevator.
They get on the elevator, and Rebecca takes the chance to kind of just lean on David, and Claire's leaning on her, and it's a Chapel Rowan song come to life. It's absolutely. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. That was my modern reference for the kids. You gotta stay relevant these days.
Gotta stay relevant,
Gotta stay relevant. So, chapter 18, we are back with Leon and John and Cole trying to make their way through. They're making their way downtown. Actually, is what's actually
making my way downtown.
Sort of genuinely happening. So. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with, even if they get past these things, what difference does it make if the exit is bolted shut? And they realize that there is a place that, like a kennel, kind of.
The place that these things come from.
Exactly. That they don't just live in this level, they get released into it. So they know where that is. They can make their way through that and theoretically, backstage, if you will. So that is the plan. So they're making their way through it. We get Cole, who he is a slowly budding adrenaline junkie at this point. We get a moment where he's like, "I feel real. I feel like
I'm a real boy now.
I'm a real boy," and you're just waiting for him to go. "You got a shotgun? I can help that way." Man, so that section ends with them running out and trying to
There's
make the plan
by the way,
happen.
there's a moment when what's his name is watching them do their work, like fighting the monsters, where I believe Cole does something where a hunter leaps at him, and it says that he hits the hunter on the side of the head with the gun, and then spins out of the way and then shoots it point blank.
He pulls total Max Payne slow bullet time mode.
He bullet times a hunter while
truly
Reston
does,
is watching.
At some point, Cole leveled up between this level and the last. and he invested in a feat or something. His base attack, modifier went up or something because he's suddenly he's got a touch of the badass.
For our D&D players, that was a rogue.
Yeah.
That was a rogue disengage.
Yeah.
And then a backstab critical.
Yeah. It was pretty great. And Reston is like watching all of this happen, and literally is just like, oh, I'm fucked. Okay, that's what it is. I'm fucked. He's because he's watching them. One of their strategies basically comes down to they run past the hunters and they're blowing out streetlights. And the pop of the streetlights and the glass falling and the darkness and all that stuff distracts the hunters, and that keeps them on that while they can run past them. So more clever shit to avoid totally wasting all your ammo. Good Resident Evil shit. So they're making their way through. They pass by all these guys. We get some combat. John gets smacked around a little bit, that sort of thing, and finally they find their way back to the opening, and they are waiting. They're waiting for they need to be able to get in, and it's slowly closing, just like you do. You're running towards it, and you've got the slowly creeping doomy thing. And
Right.
cut to Reston back there, hitting the button, just spamming the buttons.
Close.
Close. He's basically the guy at your office who sees someone coming in the elevator, like way down the hallway, and he starts
tries to close it.
Exactly, just
they get
hitting
there.
it as fast as he can. It doesn't make any difference, but it makes him feel better. So more of Reston. We're doing some quick back and forths here. So
Right.
Reston watching them. Finally, he gets to watch them all make their way through the kennel and into safety. And he's not happy about that, but not before our dear friend Cole gets just absolutely slashed to ribbons. He gets torn. His back gets torn open by a stray claw, basically.
Yep.
So in the back, in the kennel area, we get Leon and John dealing with the he's dying. They can tell he's dying. He knows he's dying. There's no room for, niceties. It's like, I know I'm dying. Don't be an asshole.
I know
that
I'm
kind of
dying.
thing. I know I'm dying. And swear to me. And
Swear to me.
swear to me. So with Cole's final breath, he tells them about Fossil. He says he just calls it Fossil. He says it's in a tube somewhere, and if it got out, it would destroy everything. Get it? And the guys are like, got it. And Cole says, good, and then dies.
Fair.
Yeah, that's a camera wrap on our dear friend Cole. Cole, we hardly knew ye.
Yep.
He held his own there for a while.
He did
but,
hold his own.
It was not bad. Not bad.
Kind of a bullshit way to go out. It wasn't even like, it was more action movie exit rather than a horror.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It was definitely an action movie death. It was a little more sentimental, if you will.
Yeah, we're in a Jurassic Park movie basically,
Yes.
for all intents and purposes.
Yes. We're sad, but we've got to move on. Is basically
We got to
what
move
it comes
on, and
down
Chris
to.
Pratt is there somewhere.
Yeah. So he's there. He's hanging around in the back, being charming somehow. So we cut back to Reston, who has realized the jig is absolutely 100% up. He is sloshed, and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. And he determines that what he needs to do is run to the cafeteria where all of the people who work for him are. He'll have to edit the details, of course,
Sure.
but he's sure that he can count on these guys helping him out and protecting him, because he is, of course, a friend to the working man.
He's a friend to the working man.
Yeah, he understands. They'll get it. They'll get it. They'll be on my side. Everything's
They
gonna
call
be
me
fine.
Blue. Why could what that's got to be nice thing, right? Blue.
Nicknames from your subordinates are always a good thing, so that's fine. That's fine. Uh, so, cut to chapter 19. We've got Leon and John dealing with the loss of their mascot, Cole. 'Cause let's face it, that's what he was.
That's what he was.
And they're trying to figure out. They're trying to find this fossil thing, and eventually, lucky them, they do. And Fossil is basically he's a tyrant. He's
It's
he's
a
some
tyrant, yeah.
It's a tyrant, but they describe it as like a cross between a human and a dinosaur, which
Right.
is why they assume they call him Fossil.
Yeah.
I kind of love this because it gave me
It's a tyrant T-Rex kind of.
yes. And what was the Dino Crisis? It gave me
Yeah.
full Dino Crisis vibes.
Full on Dino Crisis vibes.
Where's that
for it.
remaster?
Yeah.
I would play the shit out of some
I would
Dino
play the
Crisis
shit out of a
remasters.
Dino Crisis X Resident Evil like
Absolutely.
crossover game. That would be
Absolutely.
the shit.
Yeah. So they're been sitting there staring at this killing machine that's in stasis in a tube of goo, and we get a moment of Leon saying, "So do we do it?" And John says, "Yeah, I think we're gonna do it." So they're gonna give in to their
They're gonna
basis
let a
notions.
tyrant loose.
They're gonna let a tyrant
Because-
loose, which I'm sure will be fine.
Because
Yeah,
because
because they figure
not-
that'll
entirely sure.
yeah. All you've got, they've killed
Why?
basically everything. All that's left is Reston essentially, and you've got a bunch of civilians. Like I don't know why they're doing this.
Why there are civilians down
Yeah.
there. Why are you letting a tyrant loose?
Yeah, you have a chance of having the tyrant kill Reston, I suppose, but you have a way worse chance of it killing you and your friends or some innocent civilians. So just find the corporate guy and plug him in the head. You don't need to awaken a T-virus beast like to do this. That's not
You
necessary.
could probably terminate the tyrant from the same console.
Probably. Yeah, you know what? That's what it is. This is your Mass Effect / KOTOR moment where you turn it on, you turn it off, and you get light side points or dark side points based
Right.
on which one you do. So yeah, they make that decision.
They go towards the dark side.
They
you know?
they get some renegade points.
They need some dark side points because they really want Force Lightning.
Yeah,
But that's all they really want.
Force Lightning's pretty tight. So yeah,
is
that's totally worth it. We cut to Reston doing his very best to play the put upon my God. He's painting them this picture with words that Leon and John.
They killed poor Cole.
Poor Cole.
And the working class blue collars say, "What the fuck? What the
Yeah.
fuck is Joe Bags saying?"
What is he saying? And they don't buy it in the slightest. And they're just
That
like,
guy's not my brother.
He's not my brother. And it basically goes down like that. And they're just not. And he truly has this moment of like, wait a minute, these are my subordinates. I pay their paychecks. They should be worshiping me. Why is it going this way? It's like you're the worst boss you ever had.
And then he shit his pants. Just brandy shits all the way down.
Just all the way down. Just stains the floors. And so they're all like, we're getting out of here. Go fuck yourself. And that leaves Reston basically with the option. Basically, the fight or flight kind of response kicks in. And he's like, I gotta find a place to hide. So Reston's running off. Claire, David, and Rebecca are making their way through the facilities now. Let's see. Is this the moment? Yeah. They are making their way through. They're finding, they're looking for their teammates. And then, wouldn't you know it, our wounded Rebecca gets grabbed by the man in the blue suit. Good
The
old
man
Blue.
himself.
The man himself, Reston.
Joe Bag shows up.
Joe Bag shows up and grabs her gun and hostages her basically, and they just drags her away. So things are going really good. If you were worried that the story of Claire and John and Rebecca had no point, fear not. The point is to put them all back in danger again.
Immediately.
Immediately. Because, yeah, they let that thing loose, but we're leaving, right?
Right.
No.
Right?
No.
No.
So, chapter 20, Leon and John set loose a tyrant. That is not something I ever expected to see a hero do in a Resident Evil book, game, or any piece of media. They did it.
Set the tyrant out. It's out in the world now.
Yeah, yeah. And Leon literally releases it while thinking to himself, take it all down. So basically, he wants to release this thing to help bring Umbrella's
to destroy the
entire
thing.
Sure. Okay, fine. David and Claire are following Reston and Rebecca, making their way through. We're getting lots of cuts. We're getting back and forth, hallways. You can imagine it, just fast moving action through the hallways as they're chasing this hostage situation down.
Right.
So let's see. This is where it starts to get kind of blurry here. Okay, so John and Leon meet up with their team. They find Reston. They see Reston with the gun. Everybody's there. And this is when Leon goes, oh, fuck. We just let loose.
Whoops.
Yeah. Genocide in a can.
Yeah.
We just let it loose. And
it's out there.
Oh, shit. We may have made this situation worse.
I have made a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm. That gif is basically Leon right now. That's it. Chapter 21 opens with one of the more interesting. Chapter 21 is really short, and it's one of the more interesting chapters in the book. It is all from Fossil's point of view,
right?
Which I don't think has happened in any of these books yet. Yeah. No.
It's like the Fossil just views everything as food.
Yes, food or an obstacle to food.
Right.
And it has no purpose other than to eat. It has no reproductive system, nothing like it's the only thing of its kind, so it doesn't worry about that. So basically, we just get a glimpse inside this eating machine's head,
right?
And it's just looking for food. So we get a look at what we're dealing with here, and it ain't great. It ain't great.
Not great.
No. I thought this was probably one of the more interesting aspects of the book.
I really like this.
It's so rare. It's rare in any piece of zombie media or literature that you get something from the point of view of the zombie, and I get why. I understand it's mindless. That's the whole point. But it's fascinating. It's a really interesting
the closest
choice.
I could think is there was some stuff in The Troop by Nick Cutter.
Oh,
and that's still like that book, yeah. There's still some sentience to the people as they're going through the shit, but I would say that might be one of the closest to it that I can recall.
Yeah, that's about the extent, and so it's a very cool choice. So we get a quick chapter from the Beast's point of view, which I got a real kick out of. We cut to chapter 22, where Reston is dragging Rebecca along, threatening her, basically. He gets cornered by, he calls him John and Red. He calls Leon Red. Does he say he has
Leon Red? Yeah, he says Leon has red hair.
Okay, that's confusing.
That's based on the original. So in RE2, in the original Resident Evil 2, Leon has red hair.
I guess he does. He's not a ginger, but he's.
Moving forward from Resident Evil 4, like the original Resident Evil 4 and onward, he has brown hair.
Yes, kind of sandy brown for that matter.
Yeah.
So, okay, so basically, he's cornered. He's and just it's more running. Basically, he's running from them, and throws Rebecca down, and this isn't worth it, and keeps going. So the gang's all back together again. And and John and Leon are like, "Hey, listen, we gotta go. Fuck this Reston guy.
Listen, we made a mistake. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
we
leave
made a
now.
tactical error, and yeah, we got to get the fuck out of there." So as they're explaining that, they get. You get the crashing and the booming and the Jello pudding and the monster shows up. So, chapter 23. They are
Bill Cosby shows up.
Just shows up. The scariest thing of all.
The scariest thing of all. Bill Cosby shows up.
You can't tell me if you were in an underground science lair and the door was kicked down by Bill Cosby, you wouldn't shit your pants.
God.
Who wants a glass of wine? You know, something like that. And it's
the Rudy. Theo.
I think it was the Onion that happened during the court hearings when those first started. The Onion wrote the headline. It was like, Bill Cosby, sure, we can all figure this out if you just enjoy a glass of wine with him or something like that. Oh God. So
I don't think I've ever fully wrapped my head around that. Just as a side note, like
totally acceptable.
I
and
try.
Understandable. Yeah,
I try.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, but it's there's a lot of I think one of these days my brain will have fully processed what the fuck happened.
Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. It's absolute insanity, and it's such a huge part. It's like that rumor of Mr. Rogers being a sniper in Vietnam come to life. You know, it's weird.
Right, which was ridiculous because he was on during Vietnam.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
like a lot of things, these timelines are usually thought up by people who don't actually pay attention in history class.
And he has the long sleeves because he's got tattoos up and down his arms. He's got tattoos and for all
17
of his
confirmed kills and all that shit. Yeah, no. It's kind of like the Tonys happened recently, and they had a big performance from Cabaret, which is one of my favorite musicals of all time. I'm not so I'm iffy about the production, but I'm always happy to watch that show. It's an amazing and dark and wonderful and terrible show, and the kids on TikTok are being exposed to this for the first time. And so you've got the old heads coming out of the woodwork to say, no, hold on. That's not what this is about. Because it's and because there were a couple of the dancers in the opening number who were clearly transgender, and so a lot of people saw this and went, oh, it's a show about gender expression and sexuality, and the old theater kids have got to come out and go, no, it's that's a detail, but that's not what this is about. And but the fact of the matter was I couldn't even be mad because I was introduced to Cabaret when I saw Alan Cumming performing at the Tonys, the same exact number, and I was like, oh, it's like Rocky Horror. And rented the Joel Grey movie and watched it and went, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. If you haven't seen the Liza Minnelli Joel Grey Cabaret film, directed and choreographed by Bob Fosse, and it's basically perfect. Fucking watch it. It's so good. Even if you're not a musical person, just trust me on this one. It's so good. What were we talking about? Oh, right. What's going on?
So Bill Cosby comes through the door.
Bill Cosby, that's right. Fucking Jesus. Chapter 23, Fossil busts into the room like a coked up Bill Cosby. And so we've got the running. We've got the running. Everyone's
the running.
The next chapter or so is basically the kind of chapters where every other paragraph starts with someone shouting "Go, go, go!" That's what you're dealing with here.
Dive, jump.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We get a lot of dodging, some grenade throwing, basically anything that they can do to get through it. David gets hurt pretty bad, gets some shrapnel in his back, but she literally writes, he decides that it's not that bad, so he keeps going. And they finally find a room that has like a sliding metal door that they can get into, and it's boom, just closes them off. And there's another door in it, but it is unfortunately locked. And as they're watching, Fossil is making short work of the metal door that got them in the first place. So momentarily they're going to be cornered. So.
Right.
While they're figuring that out, Reston is making his way out, trying to figure out what the fuck he's going to do. He does everything but complain about those damn kids, those meddling kids, basically.
Those meddling kids.
That's what he does, and he is clearly sloshed. He is drunkenly trying to make his way out. He finds the. This is interesting. If I read this correctly, basically there was a hole in one of the walls. And he can literally see the elevator through it. And so he's like, awesome! I'm just going to cut through that, and then I can ride the elevators up, and I'm home free. So he does that. He gets through the hole, gets to the elevator, and is just like super pumped and feeling very clever, feeling very satisfied with himself. Now, as he's doing that, we got another Fossil inner monologue thing. Fossil smells food down the way, and it's food that's out in the open, unprotected, maybe getting onto an elevator. And this will be worth eating first. And I'll come back to these guys after I'm done with this guy. So he runs off, and as he does that, they they get out the same way. I have to imagine in the video game it would be like a timing thing. You'd be like, you want to wait for him to leave, and you'd have to time it down to the right, amount of distance so he doesn't just turn back around and come and chomp you.
Right.
So they get around, they're running out, and as they do, they hear Reston off in the distance screaming, and it's suddenly cut off by a loud crunch. So assuming we don't get some kind of sequel where they bring him back Alien Resurrection style, that's a picture wrap on Reston. Rest in piss, Reston. You were rest in piss. But at the same time, loved him. Great bad guy. Really hilarious bad guy. Loved it. We cut to chapter 24, which is very short. It is Rebecca. They're finally they're on their way out to safety. Rebecca is finally allowing herself to rest, and she basically, we find out that she has managed to snag Reston's little black book, which is just filled with all kinds of incriminating tidbits, and it's going to help them bring Umbrella down, and she resolves to let them know whenever they're out, so they've got a little something to celebrate. Then we cut to an epilogue where Trent, our dear friend Trent, we find out has basically been watching the watching. It's like a play within a play. He's got these. How do they put it? It's like he has tapped into the cameras within the facility, so he's been watching Reston watch everything. So he's been just following the whole thing. He's very pleased with how everything went. He starts thinking about this as it's right around the corner. We're going to bring Umbrella down. Hope those kids take a nice couple of days off before their next wacky adventure. Yep. And resolves that they're going to get rewarded after this is all said and done. And then, in a very strange bit of inner monologue, he begins to recite a speech that he's been planning for years, apparently.
Yeah.
And it's this speech that he's giving to the board, telling them, your days are numbered, this is all over, and his origins. And we find out for the first time that he is actually Victor Darius the. Oh, am I back? Something happened.
You're back.
Me
out.
You
got. Yeah.
I got booted.
You got booted.
So we got booted. So we find out that he is the kid of Dr. Darius and Mrs. Darius, or I think they're both doctors. That's rude.
Yeah.
The people who developed the it's like a mutagen that will help save people's lives, that will help to
Right.
enhance
Eventually
healing and that sort of thing.
eventually it becomes the part of the T virus, G virus
Yeah,
project and all that.
yeah,
And they
and
kill his parents
yep,
when they take it from them, but they didn't realize that he is still alive. And
and
they
has
just
been
kind of
slowly working his way up their corporate ladder.
yes,
And this
to
is his
take them
revenge.
down.
So Underworld ends with the reveal on who this mysterious Trent is. Our conclusion, 4 books in the making.
Yes,
So
and
and
his name comes from his dad's middle name, which was Trenton.
Trenton, that's right.
Yeah.
So that is Resident Evil Underworld. Kevin, what you think?
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, I thought the ending was kind of a mess, only because it seemed completely out of character. That, like, why
Yeah.
would they wake up a tyrant? What's the
I
point?
didn't get that either. That was a weird choice.
Yeah,
It feels like it was a choice just made to start some shit at the end.
just to speed the ending along. Yeah,
That's it. That's it. And it's not a mistake that you see SD Perry make very frequently with these kinds of things. She's usually pretty
right.
good about.
To me, it would have been like, okay, Reston is like, I have one option left, and he goes and he wakes up the tyrant.
Yes. Now that would have made sense if Reston had done that. Like that
Yeah.
makes way more sense. But John and Leon doing it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I didn't care for that, but otherwise,
And Claire and Rebecca and David were a little underused. In
yeah.
terms of what they were doing in the plot. Basically, it's all set up for Claire to be, or Rebecca to be taken hostage briefly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And
then
again,
they
we
don't,
didn't
they don't really do a whole
necessarily
lot
need
when
that.
they get down there.
No, they
So-
they don't. Their parts were a little bit of a meh to me as well.
Otherwise,
So-
it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Reston was a great villain. Had a lot of
Great
fun with him.
villain. Yeah, and I assume this is supposed to be him on the cover
I'm assuming that too.
with like all
yeah.
the monitors or something like that.
Yeah,
he's-
that's definitely him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a classic '90s, '80s villain. The one who we did that a lot more in the '80s and '90s, where the villain was a piece of shit, but he wasn't necessarily competent. You know,
Sure.
he didn't need to be an ultra genius or something like that, like we have with our
Right.
villains now.
Yeah.
He got lucky, and he was just competent enough to make a mess.
Yeah.
And I think that this is kind of a loving recreation of that sort of bad guy. So I really
And
enjoyed
I
him.
appreciate the fact that he gets drunk throughout the course of the story.
It's so fucking funny. It's so funny.
I love a good villain who's just like, because almost every Resident Evil villain is this, they're like egotistical, but also
Yep.
hyper competent. And also
Absolutely.
somewhat straight laced in terms of like, they keep an even keel. And maybe
Yes.
they'll be prone to like Skeletor rages or
Sure,
or what
but-
have
but-
you.
But they're ultra competent. They know what they're doing.
And then
yeah,
and they would never get drunk during the course of the game.
never.
and I
in fact, there'd probably be
appreciate that
some
here.
like backstory of like they developed some sort of thing where they can't get drunk now. So
They
it's-
cannot get drunk now. They're
yeah,
infected with the thing, and the thing drinks all the drink.
Yeah, it's nice to see a bad guy in this franchise who is kind of human.
Yeah.
And just an arrogant asshole piece of shit like King
Just
John
an arrogant
in Robin
middle
Hood,
manager. Yeah. Yeah,
Love it.
exactly.
Love it. Well, that was fun. And that
fun.
means that we are now into our 4th year of Pixel It.
Fourth year. Jesus.
4th year. We are beginning our 4th year with this one. Holy goddamn shit. Well, and in celebration of that, Kevin, I only have one question left for you.
Oh yeah, what's that?
What are you playing?
Oh. Hey now.
Oh.
All right. What am I playing? I don't even know what I am playing.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I am playing Fallen Aces. which is an first-person sim published by New
Ah!
Blood.
Sorry.
Ah,
My
what was
speaker
that?
went crazy.
Oh, your speaker
Something
went
that
crazy.
pulled up. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Never mind.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Fallen Aces, an sim published by New Blood, and the aesthetic is very much in line if Archer met like a 3D shooter from the early mid 90s where all the character models are just like flat 2D drawings and sprites or whatever. But it's the art style is is reminiscent of Archer, and the Archer art style is reminiscent of very specific earlier art styles from that time period. But Fallen Aces it's a blast so far. It is hard as balls. I'm finding I might have to down the difficulty because most of the time you are unarmed.
Yep.
You finding a gun is a rare joy where you can, if you find a gun, you'll be able to take out like 6 goons really quick, and then you got to find more ammo, and you're probably not going to find it.
You're probably not. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been finding that just avoiding combat, being stealthy, doing what I can to mess with the environment, all sorts of things. That's kind of the way Fallen Aces begs to be played, because it can be played like that. Like you can lead a bunch of dudes into a room where there's wires on the floor and throw a switch and electrocute all of them if you wanted to. So that's it's a blast, and right now it's in early access. I could see them making some tweaks and changes as they go. The first chapter of 3 is available, or the first act of 3 is available. I can't remember what it is, and each one is going to be a bunch of episodes within the chapter. I'm on the 3rd level right now, I believe, and it's a tricky one. One of the cool things though is you get these gadgets, and I only have the 2nd gadget so far. So the first gadget you get is your lighter, which just lets you walk around in dark spaces and allows you to see. The 2nd gadget is this communicator that lets you talk to this 1930s style superhero named Nightwave. And what you can do with Nightwave is he will just be somewhere with a sniper rifle, and you can point to a guy in like an open area, and you can just radio Nightwave saying, take that guy out. And then if he can, sometimes his view is blocked, but if he can, he'll just pause for a second and say, taking the shot. And then you'll just watch, and you'll just hear this bullet go, and the goon just get obliterated by a sniper rifle shot, like off in the distance.
I love it. I love it.
So I'm having a lot of fun with it so far.
Nice.
So Fallen Aces, I'm not playing much else at the moment. Still playing Scald, or Scald, or however you say it.
I think it's Scald.
And I have and I have a few games that I'm looking forward to playing soon, like Shadow of the Erdtree, which is the DLC for Elden Ring.
Nice.
Which, given its meatiness, might actually be in the Game of the Year contention if it is everything that what people have said it is, because it's a DLC on its own that's 40 to 60 hours.
I mean, I think to quibble about whether or not I'd say that's qualified.
Yeah, that qualifies.
That's more hours than you're going to put into the vast majority of the full release games that come out this year. So,
yeah. I finally pulled the trigger and got another Crab's Treasure, so looking forward to playing that.
Okay. I'm going to be looking forward to hearing what you have to say about that one.
And also, I'm going to be playing one soon on my list is Still Wakes the Deep.
I've got that on my list. That looks fascinating, and I love that team. They're
Chinese
very cool.
Room.
That's right. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So
that should be fun.
I'm looking forward to playing that. I was watching the Dead Meat podcast folks playing it for a few minutes, and then I was like, I have to turn off the stream
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like they started, and I was like, nope, I gotta turn
I'm
this
trying.
off.
I know I'm going to play it, and I'm trying to avoid. Yeah, because they do stories so well. They do such a good job with that shit, and I just want to experience it.
Yeah.
Fully unburdened, if you will. So no, I'm with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
There's a prologue game for free that they released earlier
nice.
this year for it. That's like an Atari style kind of thing. Apparently, that eventually turns into kind of an analog
Horror type
thing.
stuff.
Yeah, and it's totally free. I might check that out just to wet my whistle a little bit.
But the concept of Still Wakes the Deep, like you're on an oil rig, shit's haunted.
Yeah,
I'm there, like
I mean,
an oil
yeah,
rig.
Exactly. What are
The
you
fact
supposed
that
to
there
do?
isn't more things set on oil rigs blows my
A
mind.
travesty, an absolute travesty. The fact that we haven't gotten an Aliens movie on an oil rig makes no sense to me.
An oil rig it can basically stand in for a haunted mansion
Yeah,
in the
Yeah.
middle of the ocean.
I'm gonna write a horror campaign that takes place on an oil rig. That's just
Yes. What setting? What setting would you, or what system would you use for that?
too good. I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
One of the Lovecraft or
I might do. Yeah, you could do a Call of Cthulhu thing with
Call
it.
of Cthulhu?
You could
set
do
on an oil rig.
They Came From. You can do one of those games on there. Make it into a horror movie kind of thing. Hell, you could do an Alien thing on an oil rig.
You could.
Do that. And I've been looking for an excuse to play that one. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's happening.
That's happening.
And it's recorded, so I'm holding myself to it.
Hold yourself to it. Phil, what are you playing?
Oh, I'm playing a lot of the same stuff. I've gone through a couple of chapters of Thousand Year Door. I downloaded the DLC that just got released for Bolt Gun. Haven't played that yet. but I'm
Oh,
looking
right.
forward to
I saw that was out. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks fun. I'm looking forward to that. It's just going to be more of the same, which is fine by me.
Is there any more additional lines by what's his name?
That's a good question. I don't know. But I mean, he recorded like so many.
I mean, there was 1,000 lines.
Yeah, if they did put them in there, I don't know if the majority of people would notice, just based on the sheer number. So, but I have been playing. I also played some Fallen Aces. I'm also enjoying it. It's kind of funny because I love the fighting style of it. Because I agree with you, the game is hard as balls, but I didn't notice that at first because if you're kind of as chaotic of a fighting player as I am, and this game is very heavy into like improvised weapons that you find around the place, frying pans and broken bottles and shit like that, and I'm just picking shit up and throwing, swinging, bugging, and just decimating people, by the way, and doing very, very well. But then I got too cocky and oops, I'm dead, like very quickly.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's
your health goes down really fast. You can't.
Yes.
You can't let. If you are fighting goons that just have their fists, you're gonna be fine. But as soon as you run into a pipe wielding goon, you're
it's
in
all
trouble.
over at that point. Yeah, it's a totally different game at that point. I also love the art style. I love the music and the gist of it. The whole thing is fun. I didn't
know I
also
needed a
enjoying
Dick
this.
Tracy sim, but here we are.
Right. I just I'm enjoying it. I like that it basically has the same opening as Disco Elysium. You do everything but not know who you are.
Yeah.
I also this is an interesting one. I bought The Hunter: Call of the Wild.
Okay.
This game came out last year, I want to say. I have been watching. It's a hunting sim, and
Sure.
I keep getting these guys on TikTok who are playing it, and it's a very in-depth hunting sim. And And I was like, I'm curious, but I'm not going to pay full price for that. So I'll put it on my wish list and forget about it. And then I got a notification that it was $1. And I was like, well, fuck me. Okay. And I downloaded it. And my wife sat with my son and fed him and watched me playing this game. And she said, I could watch you play this game for hours because it's gorgeous. First and foremost, it's a beauty. You're in this, the level I'm in, you're in this park in the Pacific Northwest. It's just, you've got weather effects that are beautiful. It's gorgeous. It is just this, the landscape is absolutely beautiful. And you've got to track and hunt these animals. And it is unlike what 99% of gamers are going to play because you have got to take it slow. You cannot just run in and like plug the
Right.
Like if you have to keep track of the wind. If you are downwind from them and they smell you or something like that, then they will run. It took me about an hour to bag my first animal, and it wasn't even the one I was tracking. I got an achievement that basically says, "Wow, you've been hunting the same goddamn moose for a long, long time." And then I just happened.
Was the achievement called Moby Dick?
No, it might as well have been. Hold on. It's persistence is futile.
That's amazing.
Because I've just been, find 100 tracks from the same animal because that's how long it was. Because it's a moose I was hunting, and you start out with a little fucking pea shooter, so you're not going to just be able to plug that thing right away. And I just happened upon this group of deer, and I shot one of them, and that was way easier as it turns out. And I got my first trophy, and you can level up, and you can unlock different places and things and lures and all that stuff. It's very immersive, very realistic, and again, it's kind of like a Euro Truck Simulator kind of thing where it's like if you come at this game with the right attitude, you can just put on a podcast and just quietly set down a trap, or you can slowly stalk something. You can find areas where certain animals are more prone to go to eat or whatever, and just wait. And while you're doing it, you're in this beautiful environment. I am shocked at how much I'm enjoying this. It is so strange, but damn, am I enjoying it. And there's a lot of DLC for it. But none of it's exploitative either. It's kind of hilarious. It's not one of those things where it's like, yeah, you paid $1 for the base game, but all the rest of the DLC is like $300. It's like $20.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. And you can download different parks and hunt different kinds of animals. And
the most recent one is the hunting at the Sundar Patan Nepal Hunting Reserve.
Right. Yes. Which that looks amazing.
Where you can hunt big cats.
Yeah, and you can get DLC to get yourself a Labrador Retriever. Like it's very immersive. It's beautiful, and frankly, it's got to be better than playing a game where I'm mowing down innocent civilians instead. So I am shocked at how much I'm enjoying this. It's a nice, relaxing game. It is very, very good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get, and when I just can't take it anymore, that's when I will hop into the DLC for Bolt Gun and just have infinite ammo and lose my fucking shit.
Sure. Yeah. That's when
that's
the Emperor.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the inevitable next step. But that's what I'm playing. So that's me.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening the past 3 years, and thank you already for listening and joining with us into our 4th year. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of this show. So thank you so much for making that journey with us. We can be found online on Twitter, on Instagram, on Patreon, at Pixel It Pod. You can join our Discord, join the conversation, meet some lovely people on there.
We do. Have
It's a
some
good
great people on
time.
there.
We have some great people on our Discord. I gotta
Absolutely.
say that, some lovely people on the Discord. So that was a real Trump.
They're beautiful. They're lovely.
Beautiful people on the Discord.
Beautiful people. Everyone says
Don't
so.
fight uphill, me boys. Don't fight uphill. I would pay for an entire 2 hours of Donald Trump recounting the Battle of Gettysburg, trying to recount the Battle of Gettysburg from memory.
Yeah, and just being allowed and being allowed to go off on tangents.
Yeah.
As he like, can I say something? Oh, please, we insist.
Please.
Like,
We insist.
that would be amazing. That would be amazing. I think that would be money that I'd pay him that he would have earned.
He would have earned that. It would have
actually-
been the first money he ever earned in his life.
Like, yeah, right. Like the first worthy bit of money he ever earned. So
Yeah.
good for him. He could feel
Because
good about
at,
himself for
at
once.
this point, he owes me money.
I think so. I think he does for everybody.
I think he owes me some money. That son of. Did I ever tell you that I was almost hired to tape him before? Hey,
Hey!
there she
Oh,
is.
right at the end. Right at the end.
Right
Hey,
Right
kid.
at the end.
Hey, your hair looks nice.
You said your hair looks nice.
Thank you.
Hey, kid.
Okay. Bye bye.
Go away, kid. You bother me.
Did I ever tell you that I was almost hired to tape him before he was president?
No.
So it was November of 2016. After he was elected in, I got a phone call from this producer I had been doing some stuff with, and she had asked me if I could. He needed to tape something for an event that he wouldn't be able to go to because now he was going to be president. And so they were just wanted to roll a video of him making some remarks. So she's like, what would you charge for you to come to Mar-a-Lago and tape him? And I was like, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah. You just gotta stick to your guns. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I didn't do it. I turned that one down.
I don't blame you. That's a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, go on the internet, find us, join our Discord. Goodbye.
Bye.